The classic PPSH is back, but is it still as good as it used to be? Or has this classic Zombies SMG fallen from grace? This is the second episode of my BO6 Zombies weapon guides. The PPSH is a fully automatic submachine gun unlocked in the Season 2 Battle Pass at page 6. Fully pack-a-punching your PPSH will turn it into the Soul Reaper, which will increase your maximum headshot damage to 4,102, and with an incredible rate of fire of 948 rounds per minute, that turns your DPS into 64,818. Using the correct elemental damage and vulnerability in elemental pop will increase your damage to special and elite enemies to 7,179, which results in a 113,428 damage per second for both special and elite enemies. Rounding out the damage stat, we have 1,097 damage against bosses, which is 17,333 damage per second. While this is certainly not the highest damage weapon in the SMG category, the insane rate of fire is one of its best. Unfortunately, that incredible rate of fire means you're going to be burning through a lot of ammo. Unfortunately, the base PPSH only starts with 32 rounds in a magazine and 340 rounds in reserve. This increases after you pack-a-punch it to 60 rounds in your magazine and 540 rounds in your reserve. While this is an improvement, you're going to need to reload quite often. Luckily, the base reload speed is very fast, coming in just a little over 3 seconds. However, the reload add time is substantially faster than that, and with Speed Cola and especially the classic formula reloads of the PPSH only take just over 1 second. In terms of accuracy, the PPSH, well, isn't the most accurate weapon, having a vertical recoil of 38.12 degrees per second and a horizontal recoil of 19.21 degrees per second, which results in a recoil pattern that can be difficult to control at times. Unfortunately, hipfire is not a standout either, having a pretty lackluster hipfire spread of 7.85 degrees per second. Luckily, moving with the PPSH is going to feel really good, having an aim down sights time of 210 milliseconds and an aim down sights speed of 3.6 miles per hour. Aiming and walking with the PPSH is going to feel pretty natural. The sprint to fire speed is 125 milliseconds and the sprint speed is 6.7 miles per hour, which is pretty standard for most weapons. Much like the other SMGs in the SMG category, the range is not great, seeing your first decrease in damage just after 13.6 meters. But what does all of this mean at health cap? In terms of regular zombies, they're going to take about 12 shots to kill, which shouldn't be too big of an issue with the fast rate of fire, which results in actually a respectable 1.3 kills per second at health cap. The special and elite damage is fairly impressive too, killing specials in 20 shots and elites in just over 200 shots. However, killing a special enemy in just over 1 second isn't that bad. Despite the respectable damage per second of the PPSH, especially when it comes to critical hits, the armor damage is going to severely handicap the PPSH, only dealing 455 damage. Even combined with the above average rate of fire gets us a total of 7,712 damage per second. This is crippling to the PPSH's damage. Luckily, there are perks, augments, and attachments that we can use to improve this. Now, despite the subpar armor damage per second, the PPSH is going to feel pretty viable well into the 40s, largely thanks to the incredible rate of fire. It isn't until the mid to late 40s where you start needing over 7 shots to kill. So for our recommended attachments, adding rapid fire and the CHF barrel will increase your damage per second. As you can see, we go from about 950 rounds per minute to over 1,000 rounds per minute, and the slight increase in damage will get us to 72,000 damage per second, and especially when looking at the special and elite enemies, having over 127,000 damage per second, it is incredible. This also has amazing results when at health cap, killing nearly a zombie and a half per second, and nearly taking out an entire special zombie in almost a second. However, this is what the recoil pattern looks like with the CHF barrel and rapid fire. 66.33 degrees per second vertical recoil, and even with a grip to help the horizontal recoil, it is still 18.73 degrees per second. For our build, we will be using the CHF barrel, but I will forego rapid fire for FMJ. Because the rate of fire is already incredibly fast and ammo consumption is a huge issue, I want to make sure that every single round matters. With FMJ, you are going to ensure that every single round is able to penetrate more zombies. Throwing on the extended mag will give the PPSH a classic look and feel. It will also help elongate the time time you're able to get damage downrange. However, this does affect your mobility, so use at your own risk. To overcome the insane recoil, I recommend a vertical foregrip and perhaps even a compensator if you want to forego the suppressor. However, my secret underrated attachment is going to be the Strelok laser. Because the normal steady aim laser really doesn't help your hipfire all too much, the Strelok laser makes it so that as you're aiming down sights, your hipfire spread becomes incredibly tight. And if you're on console, constantly aiming out of sights, especially with Deadshot, will ensure that you get the most rounds on target as possible. And if you're on PC, you should have good enough aim to make use of this as well. For our field upgrade, if you want to be on the offensive and match your PPSH's offensive capability with something even better, I recommend Dark Flare. With the PPSH being very capable of taking out normal and special enemies, Dark Flare will work wonders against the amalgams. However, if you wanted something a little bit more defensive, Frenzied Guard will allow you to fire your PPSH non-stop if you have the right augments on, making the most out of your insane rate of fire. For your ammo mod, Cryo Freeze will be my #1 choice. Since getting as much lead on target as possible is our primary goal, Cryo Freeze being able to slow down enemies and pairing it with the augment that does extra damage, we can make up for the lack of rapid fire, and the occasional Ice Storm will be insane for your damage per second. In terms of perks, Vulture Aid will be something you are going to want to consider. Ammo management is a big deal with PPSH, and Vulture Aid will help with that. For Deadshot, Dead Break is the obvious choice, being able to crack armor more frequently, but if you wanted a hipfire build with PPSH on a low round, you could choose Dead Drop, which reduces your hipfire spread. If you're more about aiming down sights like we are, using the Stalker augment of Stamina will allow you to aim down sights more safely. And the stealth recommendation that I have is going to be for Death Perception, specifically the Critical Eye augment. This allows random normal body shots to become critical shots, and with how much lead you're going to be throwing down range, this is going to be pretty important. That being said, Death Stare with Death Perception could also be good if you are utilizing the elemental damage of your special and elite enemies. Just be sure not to use it on the Terminus boss fight right now because that's currently glitched. If you pair the PPSH with the right attachments and augments, you can make it so that even the undead fear the Reaper. And if you like fast rate of fire weapons, then you're going to want to check out the XM4 right here. And as always, stay beautiful.